The Jacob Media Sports Network, in partnership with 97.3 ESPN, brings you the Mays and Eytan Show.
Middays with Harry Mays and Eytan Shander.
Now, it's the Midday Show with Harry Mays and Eytan Shander on 97.3 ESPN Radio.
Well, you got me a little pickled here, a little tickled. Can I use the same phrase, right?
Pickled or tickled?
Both.
There's a big difference.
Is there?
Pickled is like usually how you might find me on a Saturday evening around 7, 8 o'clock.
A little sauced up?
Yeah, tickled is something totally different.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah. Josh is in another great mood today.
I can't wait. Because here's the thing. Saturday now, you've presented, before we even got on the air, not one, not two, but four? Five. Double-digit favorites.
In the SEC.
In
SEC play.
Right,
okay?
SEC play. So,
and three of them are on the road.
Well, that's what I'm intrigued about.
The disparity in that conference is really what that tells you.
Auburn is one of them, right? Missouri is another one.
Missouri, and there's one other one that's on the road, LSU.
Okay, now far be it for me to jump in front of Josh, who has blown away another weekend, 5-1 last weekend, will continue to give out these six-pack of picks on Friday. This is not about jumping in early at all. I'm just curious. At this point, I think that you're getting double-digit points on the road. I wonder if you tease up each home team.
Go ahead. Well, why don't you just do – in fact, that's what you should do. You should just tease up each home team and parlay all of them.
No. Well, parlay is the teaser. Mm-hmm. I'm just buying points.
Right. I know.
I'm just saying, at this point,
yeah,
you've got me intrigued that we have a level – now, 5 double-digit road favorites.
No, 3 road favorites.
Oh, pardon me. Who's at home?
Alabama and see, these games aren't all in a row here.
No, they're not.
It's a pain in the ass.
I think it's Georgia, right?
The sheet is gigantic. Yeah, Georgia's at home.
Okay, so Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, I would throw those two teams in the teaser and tease them down at home.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you
Georgia's coming off a loss.
They
an
are.
outright loss at home.
They're going to kick the you-know-what out of whoever they're
Maybe.
playing. You don't think so?
I don't know, man.
See,
I tell you, that loss
back.
last week was huge. And I tell you, this happens a lot of times with these teams when they lose, when they're thinking about running the table and they lose a game, all of a sudden the next week these kids, their heads are just not in it.
Well, I wonder if there's a correlation, do you think, to what's happening with the Dallas Cowboys? Like, I feel like it's feast or famine with them on Sunday.
Uh-huh. Well, we're going to start, finding out today who didn't practice.
Sure.
Because today's when they install the game plan and they actually start, working towards Sunday's game. Now, there's a lot of time that can happen between now and Friday. Typically, what happens in the NFL is if a guy doesn't practice on a Friday, there's a very good chance that he's not going to play on Sunday.
Yes.
So we're going to have we have a lot of time today, tomorrow, and then Friday when we're at Parks, we'll start getting reports as to, Tyron Smith. What's his situation? What about Lyle Collins? What about, Amari Cooper? Because those are 3 big spots for the Cowboys that can really impact their ability to beat the Eagles on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's why I think Deshaun
and the
Jackson
Eagles too. They got their guys.
Deshaun's not going to practice on Wednesday, which means he's 90% not going to go. Like Wednesday today is the most important practice day of the week.
Yeah, but if he gets in there and starts, he's been running around apparently.
Yeah, listen.
There's a chance he can play.
I disagree.
You do?
I think if he misses today, he's out.
Really?
Yeah,
it's very early in the week.
Well, yes, but Wednesday's usually
How much does Deshaun need to know to game plan? Hey, go run a 9 route.
Not about game plan, and he might very well be a game time decision.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll play. I'm saying, like, when you don't practice on Wednesday, that's a pretty good indication that you're not going to play on Sunday. Strange things have happened. It doesn't rule you out entirely. I'm just saying it's not a great sign by any means. Now, on the flip side, you're right. We do have to see what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just saying, for me, it feels like Dallas is feast or famine at this point. Like, I could see, remember, it's the same scenario we talked about this past week with Minnesota. Nothing's changed. Minnesota came off a game against New York. You didn't know if that win was real or fake because that opponent is not good, especially that defense. And then what they did is they doubled it up by blowing out this secondary, which is trash. I get it. But still, they did it 2 weeks in a row. And they had that mentality of it was either going to be you continue to bounce back, and you hold it, what you were doing, or you just show that the game against the Giants was an anomaly because you actually do stink and you just went up against a bad team. I feel like Dallas is at that point.
Yeah, well, they are. And, the Eagles could also be at that point, too, because I know it's not a quote-unquote must-win, but you start getting, to this point in the season, mid-October, late October, every game means more. So the other thing, we buried the lead. Because we had two big trades yesterday in the NFL.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Eagle fans today that are very upset that Howie Roseman was not on the phone with the Jacksonville Jaguars, or maybe even they're annoyed that they didn't get Marcus Peters from the Rams, who's been an issue. He's been a problem everywhere he's gone. And I just looked back into this because
I'm not upset about
Peters. It was 2 years ago. No, me either. It was 2 years ago that the Rams made a trade with Andy Reid and the Chiefs.
Yep.
Andy Reid took a chance on Marcus Peters, who had a lot of red flags in college. I think he also went to UW, didn't he? Ooh. I think he's from cornerback U.
Yes.
He's another Husky who had a little bit of a checkered past.
No, he's not a Sidney Jones, like losing your mind pass, though.
No, he had some transgressions, if you will.
Correct.
Okay. But Andy Reid was like, all right, I'm done with you. I'm going to trade you. He trades it to the Rams. The Rams gave up back in 18 a fourth-round pick, and they gave up a second-round pick in this year's draft, the 19 draft for Peters.
Wow.
Then they turn and flip him to Baltimore for lower-round picks, and then trade 2 firsts and a fourth for Ramsey. Think about the draft capital that they've given up for one cornerback position.
With all
Think
the
about
money.
that.
Well, that's the thing. I wonder if they look at it like we've already got so much money built into a couple of guys that we're better off just going for broke at this point.
And that's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're going for the Super Bowl this year. They were in it last year and couldn't score. And now they're trying to beef up their defense. But really, don't you think the issue with that team, obviously the defense, it always helps to get a great cornerback. But Todd Gurley and that quarterback, to me, are the real issues. They scored 7 points last week.
Well, they're going to also have to remember, they're not the only guys that are still on that team with money associated to it.
I know. They got a
Cooper
ton
Kupp's
of
going to have
big
to get
contracts.
paid. Yeah,
Right,
Cooper Kupp's going to have 100 receptions.
Yeah, they
this year.
can't keep everybody. But for this year, they're going to be able to keep it together.
This year, correct.
Yes.
Which I think also begs the question, and this goes back to people waking up, and I get it, like, sports talk radio is the worst barometer at times. As much as it's the best medium to have a genuine conversation with people, it truly is at times the worst because knee-jerk reaction is just pick up a phone or hit the text board 609-403-0973 and just be angry. But this thing, I think, requires a little more. Look, Patrick Peterson gets dealt, and the Eagles – no, I'm saying hypothetically and the Eagles don't give up a third-round pick for Peterson, okay, I'm upset. This, I think, is not just, hey, I'm really upset or I'm really excited they didn't do it. I had to dig a little deeper. From the age standpoint, Harry, from trying to hold on to more of a nucleus as opposed to less of a nucleus the more people you sign, I would like Jalen Ramsey here, but I don't wake up angry at Howie Roseman. I wake up angry at Howie Roseman if Patrick Peterson is dealt for a third and a fifth rounder, and I'm looking around like, okay, that was your time to do it.
Well,
this is a lot, and I understand why he wouldn't do it.
It is a lot, and that's why Jacksonville ended up doing it, because they didn't really want to do it. But it became a situation where, he's claiming he has a back injury when he probably doesn't have a back injury. I guarantee you that back is a whole lot better now that he's in Los Angeles. It miraculously got better.
He'll play immediately.
Yes, exactly. But that just goes to show you where those two, the player and the team had come to, where Jacksonville basically got to the point where we got to trade him. We want to get 2 first-rounders for him, and they did.
Yeah.
Plus, they got a fourth.
Well, they kept saying it's not going to happen, right? Shad Khan was like, it's not going to happen.
Not Shaka Khan.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shaka Khan would have made this trade.
I don't think so either. I really don't.
You're right, though.
Shaka Khan is better at picking in the mid rounds
than Howie Roseman.
Yes, I think so. Howie,
is this where we are right now?
This
is a major referendum on Howie.
Do you give up 2 first-round picks for a guy who's proven?
Listen,
and a guy who's like a lockdown corner at a position of need. When you're thinking like, hey, what are the odds that these next 2? We're going to look at this as the years go by. But right now you got to sit here and say, what are the odds that wherever the Eagles end up picking in those two drafts with the first round, that player is better than Jalen Ramsey?
Not likely.
Right.
But you still want to have the shot to – here's the thing. You may not look at it like a straight-up cornerback that you draft. Maybe a tackle.
Oh, it
or
could
maybe
be a
wide
position.
Right.
I agree.
So I don't know at that point. Like, yeah, if you can draft
But he's
well,
an impact player at his position.
Correct. And I think you can make the argument that there's opportunity for impact players in the first round, like giving up 2 first-round picks. Now, another thing is the age. The Eagles are one of the oldest teams in the NFL.
I think they're like the 3rd or 4th oldest team in the NFL. And what was Ramsey, 26?
Correct. Now, here's the thing, 25,
He's in the
26. Here's the thing, people need to think this through. If you bring in Jalen Ramsey and your team starts to look like the Rams as far as money allocated to like 4 guys, don't be upset when people like Brandon Graham, maybe even like Alshon Jeffrey, right? Don't be upset when they start trimming the fat, and the fat isn't an obvious piece of slab on the side of the steak like a 50th guy on the roster, but it's impact guys because they just simply can't afford to pay everybody.
No, you can't, and you can't keep bringing guys in from elsewhere that you have to pay right away. You got to be able to build. I mean, they got to do better in the draft.
That's the thing.
That's
if you
the
give
thing.
up draft picks, then you can't bring in guys from the outside, and you can't
Do you
draft.
expect him to be able to make better draft picks?
Well, I think that there's a ton of pressure right now on him, too.
Well, there
Yes.
should be.
But
He's
I'm saying
GM of the Philadelphia Eagles.
No. I don't mean it like generally. I'm saying like I think there's a ton of pressure on him now because a lot of the recent picks are under fire, and rightfully so. When Pumphrey is going to get more quality time in the XFL than the NFL,
Right.
you've made a mistake.
Right.
609-403-0973 is the text board. Yes, Elijah Qualls.
Oh, he's in the XFL too? Wow.
He got drafted by the same exact team.
Jeez.
Now, is that guy
So
connected to Howie Roseman?
Maybe Howie's a good XFL general
Amazing,
manager.
amazing. He knows that no matter what
Jeez.
happens in the NFL, he always has a backup to do the XFL. He could run his own independent scouting company.
I thought we were told that Pumphrey was a Joe Douglas pick.
Listen,
It probably was.
here's the thing. The amount of subterfuge that's gone on in the front office about who's responsible for what pick has gone back to Marcus Smith. And even then, before that, there was concern and question about, was it a
remember
Joe
him?
Banner and Andy Reid pick?
He couldn't even make the XFL.
No.
Marcus Smith right now.
Was he up in the draft pool? Speaking of which,
I don't know.
No news on Colin Thompson yet, right?
I've not gotten a text.
Okay. Let's get Tom in Summers Point here. Tom.
Fellas, we can talk for an hour, but listen, real quick on the Phillies. Dusty Baker's on
Who?
the list. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Dusty Baker's on the list.
Hey, that team doesn't
you
deserve
kidding
your
me?
attention, Tom. They don't deserve your time and sweat.
Okay. Listen, all right, let's go move to the Rams. Listen, you gave up a lot. You don't even know that you could re-sign him. They have a 1-year deal with him. They've made mortgage the farm, and that's not their problem. Good teams in the playoffs don't throw to the side of their best defensive back. They throw away from them. That's what a good offensive coordinator does. You can't sell the farm. And listen, when Mills comes back in Darby, we became a better football team, hands down.
Well, yeah, they become better, but are they good enough?
Well, we're going to find out. Now, listen, let's go to the NFTL, National Flag Throwing League. Are you kidding me? These refs are – look, no. Listen, so here's what they have to do to fix this. So let's say there's a holding on the left side of the line that had nothing to do with the play, and the play's going to the right side. Guess what? You don't throw the flag. You go up to the play and say, listen, get your hands off them. They're determining the outcome of football games, which is ruining the game. It's starting to not become fun to watch.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I found something today, Tom. We appreciate the call, as
Thanks,
always,
buddy.
On Pro Football Talk. I guess
More about the flags?
Yeah, the one in Kansas City.
Okay.
Now listen to this. I'm reading it from their website.
Now, when you say the one in Kansas City, you're talking about the Chiefs
The Kelsey play where he
Right.
was tackled to the ground.
Correct.
They threw a flag. Mahomes thought he had a free play. Yep. He throws an interception into the end zone. They pick up the flag, eventually pick up the flag.
Like it was nothing.
No penalty. Nothing, not defensive holding. Titans get the football, okay? Here it says, the Chiefs were leading.
Texans.
No, the Chiefs were leading.
No, I'm saying Texans get the football, not Titans. This happened last
Texans,
week. Right.
Yeah. The Chiefs were leading 17-9 in the second quarter, driving for more. Mahomes fired a deep ball to the end zone. It was intercepted by Texans D-back to Sean Gibson. Referee Sean Hockley, okay?
Oh, no.
Initially informed the fans in the stadium and the TV audience that defensive back Lonnie Johnson had committed defensive pass interference on Kelsey, with the video showing Johnson grabbing Kelsey and driving him into the ground. Then as the teams were lined up for the next play at the spot of the infraction, the Houston 23-yard line, Hockley and 2 other officials huddled up. During the conversation, this is where it gets interesting, one of the other officials clearly was seen pressing his finger against his ear. It was most likely was an attempt to better hear whatever someone was saying to him in an earpiece. Now, PFT, Pro Football Talk, has learned that replay review definitely was not involved in the decision. So who was he talking to?
Okay, well, here's what I would say. One explanation of why he would hold his ear like that to hear better. These guys are all connected via microphone.
Okay, but they're standing in a huddle together.
Right, but it might be so loud. Like if you or I are sitting in a huddle together,
I'd be able to hear you without an earpiece.
I don't think so.
My ass.
In the middle of an NFL field?
Yes.
You've been down on a field before.
Yes, I have.
It's loud as hell.
I'm telling you. Oh,
Wait a second.
Right.
This is in Kansas City. This is the loudest place
It's not
on the
a dome.
planet.
There's no dome there.
That's the point. Is Arrowhead is that loud? Wait a second. I'm not saying I'm not shooting your conspiracy.
It's
down.
not my theory. It's theirs.
I think it's yours.
I'm just relaying it.
You piled on with Florio here.
Of course I am.
Here's the thing. If they're all connected via earpiece and microphone, when Ed Hockley or Stephen Hockley, right, comes out and says, holding, whatever, and the other referees and officials have an earpiece where they're all connected on the same closed circuit.
Right, but there's only 2 or 3 of them sitting there that have a decision on this.
Correct, and my point of it is it could be, and I'm saying could be, so loud in Arrowhead of all places.
Let's go to the tape.
I'm just
saying. Do we have tape?
Do we have tape of this?
No, I don't know. I doubt we do.
Oh, I thought you had audio.
No, I wish I did.
Wait, is there a video link?
Now, the league declined comment on the play.
You think he's getting word from Roger Goodell?
I don't
Do you think
know.
He's getting word from
Raul Riveron in New York, somebody in Las Vegas. Who knows? But see, this is the problem. When you don't know and they don't comment on it and they don't show transparency, you're allowed to have all these crazy theories.
Here's the thing. The NBA has already seen a test case of this. Everything that happened with Tim Donaghy was not anywhere close to a deterrent for people to continue to bet on the NBA. In fact, I imagine it's probably more money is coming on the NBA right now.
No, and I know some of the guys that were involved in that. They made a lot
There's
of money.
There's a movie coming out.
Exactly right.
About that. But here's the
They're
thing.
friends of the show, for Christ's sake.
You might have heard a voice on the show.
You might have.
But here's the thing. That shows right there proof of concept that you could get banged for a gambling conspiracy that is one guy, if you believe that, or a bunch of people, if you believe that. And on top of that, look how many overseas fixings you have, right?
In soccer.
Highlights,
right.
soccer.
Well,
right?
highlights totally fixed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why would it stand to reason that there's not one official out there at all? Like the NFL has this immense vetting process that every single official, right? I mean, come on. So there is a general belief that when you put $5 to $50 down at Parks Casino, the sports book there on the NFL, that, it's not totally on the up and up. Mm-hmm. And not Parks or the betting process. I'm saying specifically the NFL. Yet still, Harry, more people bet on the NFL than anything.
Oh, I know.
So even if it came out that Ed Hockley's kid was dirty and was running this whole thing.
I'm not saying he is.
No. I'm saying hypothetically if that came out. Do you think that it would be a deterrent at all for people betting?
I don't think that they're dirty. I just think they're incompetent.
Well,
there's a big difference.
That's a significant difference.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at this, all right? That's a great question. I feel like we should poll that. We never poll that.
Seriously.
All right, let's throw that out there to the text board. We got a bunch of texts we'll read, 609-403-0973. Is the NFL corrupt or incompetent? Or do you want to say officiating?
The officiating.
Is the NFL officiating corrupt? Like, what do you believe more?
I don't think they're corrupt.
See, I think a lot of people can look at this, look at lines. Here's why I would make an argument for corruption. Lines that hit exactly down to 5 to 10 seconds left of how a game's going to finish. And what used to be just the general acceptance of, man, these guys are smart, they know how to do it. Now, through technology, we're able to see how 2 or 3 holding calls can get you to a game-winning
or
field
illegal
goal.
hands to the face on Detroit.
Twice.
On the drive. Twice on the same guy, and one would have gotten Green Bay totally off the field. They would have had to have punted or gone for a long fourth.
I'm just saying, man.
Right?
There are going to be a lot of people out there that I believe, if faced with this, A, is Harry Mays' incompetence, B, is Shander corruption. The NFL officiating, you make the call.
All right, now I forget. You might have known because you probably had the game because you can't not bet a game.
No, I just had baseball last night.
What was the line in that Detroit Packers game? Was it?
Oh, I did have that.
Were the Packers favored by like 4?
It was
3.5.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was 3.5, and I teased it down to 3.
So they didn't cover the number anyway.
No, they didn't cover the number.
What about the total? I thought it was 46.5.
45.5.
Oh, 45.5.
Which hit.
No, it's 45. The final was 23-22.
And 45.5 if you hit the under.
Oh, you had the under.
I did.
Okay.
I did. But I had it in a parlay, so it didn't matter.
Okay.
But, yes, it was 45. I had that at 45.5. Now, again, the bet actually was a bet. So the bet was Packers -3, total 45.5. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if
so you took the Packers in the under?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Which again, they came into it at 3.5, so I figured, all right, I'm not going to take a risk. Field goal, at least I get the push.
And Detroit kicking all those field goals in the first half benefited you.
For the under.
And then the running back for Green Bay not going into the end zone. Detroit was trying to let him score because Patricia knows it's the only way he can win the football game, and the guy goes down like Brian Westbrook at the 1-yard line.
I'm telling you, man, if you can separate winning and losing, and you just look at a game specifically from a gambling angle, like who cares about who wins or loses, and just look at it like that, those are the moments, man. Those are some crazy moments where it's like, who cares normally in a situation like that except somebody who's got money on it?
Right.
And then they care 10 times over.
Right.
I love it. All right, 609-403-0973. You're right. That drove a lot of people nuts.
Yeah, I had the Yankees +1.5 last night.
Yeah,
so
how'd that work?
Screw me.
Yeah, I jumped on your bandwagon.
You did.
I probably mushed you.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Garrett Cole was not sharp last night. He had 5 or 6 walks. Yankees seemed to have a base runner in every inning. They had men on first and second with 2 out like 3 times.
Right.
And D.D. Gregorius came within 3 feet of hitting a 3-run homer. Bang! That was my night.
I texted you right there. God damn it. Needed that.
I
because I knew what was going to happen with the Nationals game. Had that in the parlay. All I needed was the Yankees to just come alive. Now, to be fair, there were a couple. This is the problem. This is why watching baseball infuriates me. It's obvious and go crazy level of absurdity when you see these flags in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But baseball, I mean, Brett Gardner took a strike that was at his neck. Mm-hmm. And, you know the history he has with umpires and stuff. It's like it's so difficult to watch something like that on a micro level because these guys have the same control as the NFL officials, Harry, except they get away with everything.
How about him fumbling around in left center field on that fly ball that he missed?
Well, that's probably the karma.
The home plate umpire ended up getting knocked in the face twice. With fastball. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well,
he had a concussion.
Right.
He had to leave. It took 20 minutes to gear up the other guy. And then I got to watch Aaron Judge swinging at these low and away sliders every time. Oh, I was going out of my mind.
Meanwhile, Nationals World Series bound.
Yes, how about that?
The Philadelphia Phillies should be even more embarrassed and humiliated with themselves at this point.
They were 19-31 through 50 games, Eytan.
Yeah. They're
like going to the World Series.
You know what this reminds me of, right?
The Blues.
Exactly.
In hockey.
Exactly right. Where you have a team that was left for dead. Now, baseball, that's probably close to the equivalent of where St. Louis. Like, think about how difficult it is to come back from that level of a hole in baseball. It doesn't happen often.
No.